Hello, my name is Bo Hutchinson, and in this tutorial video we're going to get acquainted with via a walkthrough of some of the different functions and tools that are available to us in a brand new reporting analytical software from Microsoft called Power BI. Power BI is a suite of business analytic tools that deliver insights throughout the organization. It allows users to connect to hundreds of data sources, to simplify data prep, and to drive ad hoc analysis. With Power BI, you're able to produce beautiful reports and publish them out so that people within your organization would be able to view them, consume them, regardless of whatever tool that they use, whether they're desktop or their mobile devices. The great thing about Power BI is that everyone would be able to create and develop reports and dashboards regardless of their level of expertise. So let's go ahead and get started. Take a look. We start by making certain that for us to get into Power BI, we type in the web address powerbi.microsoft.com. Once there are various different types of screens that you may see. Your screen may not look exactly like mine. However, you will see a sign-in prompt over to your right top corner of your screen. We're going to go ahead and click on that, and your credentials based off of your AT&T UID number will allow you to gain access into Power BI. Now with Power BI, as you first come in, you will by default be led to what is called the recent screen. The recent screen allows you to see all of the reports and dashboards all at one time, whether by the user or if they have been shared within an organization to the rest of the team members. This is where they will be able to be viewed here. They're all jumbled up and unsorted, but you would be able to sort them out through what is listed as Workspaces, and we will get to that in a second. First of all, let's go ahead and just run through the different components of the Power BI screen. The first one would be the favorites, and this would be, say, if you have a particular report or dashboard that you would consider as one that is frequently used, then you would place it here and label it as a favorite. The second component, which we just arrived to as our default screen, is the recent view, which we've already gone over. The next one is the apps. The apps component allows you to have somewhat of a collection of various reports and dashboards so that you would be able to combine them and consolidate them into one area. Next component is Shared with Me. Shared with Me is where you would go to find and locate reports that have been shared with you, or say someone who is the author of a particular report or dashboard. They will go ahead and actually add you to the particular report or dashboard, which will allow you to find it and locate it here under this tab, Shared with Me, based off of the credentials that were entered in by the actual author of the report and dashboard. The next one would be Workspaces. Now, as we reviewed the reports that were in the default screen of the recent view, the Workspaces allows for those reports and dashboards to be consolidated under particular categories known as Workspaces, which usually contain a collection of reports and dashboards that are united or joined together based off of one particular data set, where it's sharing all the data for that particular set collection of reports and dashboards. And so what we're going to do now is take a look at the My Workspace. This is the workspace where you will do a lot of your work and that you will create a lot of reports and dashboards within your own personal environment based off of the data set that you tend to retrieve data from. And so what we're going to do is we're going to walk through a sample dashboard and a sample report based off of sample data that is provided to us by Microsoft. Before we do that, jump into it, let's walk through each component here within the workspace to help you to become more familiar with each component of the workspace. The first one is Dashboard. Dashboard will allow you to see a snapshot of certain components and metric tiles within the actual source report. Here we have the dashboard for the customer profitability sample. And within this particular dashboard, we're able to gather certain metrics and percentages based off of certain key components. Now, in the customer profitability sample, we're able to see snapshots of various percentages, charts and graphs, pretty much give us a quick glance of the particular data tiles within the source report itself. Now, if we go ahead and we click on one of the tiles, such as a gross margin, it will allow us to be able to take a look at this particular tile or graph in a more isolated, more in-depth, detailed view. Whereas now we're able to actually drill in a little bit further, deeper into this graph chart. And you can always exit back out into the dashboard by going to the top left corner and click on the arrow to head back out to the view of the dashboard. The next component within the workspace is going to be the reports. And as you see, when we go from dashboard to reports, the names are still the same. That's not always the case, but it is usually pretty good if you're able to maintain a sense of continuity with the various naming nomenclatures of your reports and dashboards. It'll make it much easier for some of your co-workers and teammates to be able to consolidate the data within the reports and dashboards based off the fact that your collection can grow large and you want to make certain that you are able to keep them lined up in sequential order, whereas it'll be easy to locate. So let's go now and take a look at the customer profitability sample, the report view of it. And as I mentioned, this is going to be the source report of the dashboard tiles that I just showed you with the same name of the customer profitability sample. And the wonderful thing here is that we will be able to also see over to the far right where it says filters, where you're able to see the conditions of the report and how the measurements and the data is being retrieved based off of certain conditions put in place. And we will go deeper into this here shortly. But I wanted to just point out the source report would look like as we saw certain components of the dashboard. As you see here, the 83 customers, 7 products, 42.5 gross margin. These are tiles that are being reflected within the dashboard of the same name, and the dashboard tiles are being pulled from the actual report itself. Now let's go ahead and look at Workbooks. Workbooks is just pretty much as it states. For those of you who may be familiar with Excel, Workbooks allows us to view reports or data that is within an Excel workbook format that can be created as or imported as for the convenience of the team or for the purposes of creating or connecting with a primary report. The fourth one, which is the most important one, and that is the data sets. Now the data set allows you to access data that the reports and the dashboards are going to be created from. And as we scroll through this, a few of these, as you see here, are what would be our organization's source of data, the pool of data, which would be the SSAS or the SQL Server Analytical Services Cube environment, which will be available based off of your AT&T UID. But in order to help you to understand better the data sets, we're going to use the sample data set of the report and dashboard we just went over, and that is the customer profitability. So right here where it says create report, under here we will create a brand new slate report based off of the exact set of data tables within the overall data for the customer profitability sample. And as we see here, we have complete access to, in order to be able to duplicate and create based off of data that was originally formatted to create the original customer profitability sample. And so this pretty much concludes the overview of the Power BI screen, the different components of it, and the various aspects of the tools within it, such as creating the dashboards, the reports, the data sets. So now that we're back out of here, let's go ahead and take a look at the last feature, which is get data. Get data allows us to connect to various forms of data, various sources of data that is shared with us, shared within the organization as a whole, to be able to create various reports and dashboards. What we were going to do now is take a look at My Organization. This is where you will find and be able to locate the reports and data sets that are exchanged within the hierarchy of your organizational collection of reports and dashboards. So as you see here, these are just some of the various data sets that have been shared with me from my team. And that's where a lot of your data, a lot of your reports and dashboards will be originating from, is from within your own organization. And so we'll go ahead and close that out now. And this will conclude the overview of the Power BI initial home screen, just to give you insight on the various tools, various components. So now that we've done the complete overview of what makes up Power BI, we'll come back and then we'll actually go ahead and start on the creation process and walk through how to put together a Power BI report using the sample data from one of the test samples. So until then, take some time out and actually just go through and review some of the components of that we've already gone over, and look forward to talking to you on the next tutorial.